Arsenal at the moment sitting top of the Premier League table, while Spurs come into this one third, and this one in third, and trail the rivals, but just 1 point behind, nothing in it. A victory for Arteta will make him the first Gunners manager to win his first 3 home games since Terry Neal, the late Terry Neal, from 77 to 79. Now, Darren, you're a big Tottenham fan.
I certainly am.
How do you see this one going? I think there will be goals, but I think it's going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 or a 2-0 either way. I think it's going to be like 3-2 or 2-1. I think it'll be tight. Yeah, I do. I think it will be tight. I think Arsenal will probably edge it favourites going into the game. I think there's not been an away win for, I'm led to believe, 16 games, longest in North London history. It's always gone with a home team or a draw. So I'm concerned that Conte is going to go in it for a draw. I really am. I think he needs to go all out. Arsenal are going to look fresh. They've got a lot of players that haven't been international duty. Ben White, players like that, and Saka didn't play much of the last game, whereas Spurs,
Jesus Martinelli.
Spurs have obviously had all the players. But then on the flip side, Son, Richarlison, Kane, they've all scored international, so they're going to be confident. I can see it end in a draw, if I'm being honest, and I think as a Spurs supporter, I'd take that now.
1-1, 2-2?
Probably 1-1. I think a real tight game.
I want to ask you, as a Spurs fan, is that the biggest derby? Because we talk about West Ham and Chelsea, you know, that they don't like each other, do they, as clubs? Is it more Chelsea, or is it still Arsenal, the big one? I
think it's still Arsenal, yeah. Obviously, it's changed over the recent years. You tend to have a club that you rival a little bit more, but it always comes back to Arsenal. I think the end of last season, that game was huge, particularly for Spurs. You didn't want Arsenal to get Champions League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but I think, and I agree, I think it was Andros said it in the clip, that this is probably the biggest derby for a long, long time. And the incentive for Spurs is they go above them into top place for the time being.
Can they keep it going here? You know, I'm looking at the table and it's so tight, isn't it? And City, you know, City just on the heels of Arsenal. We know City are not going to drop too many points, so they've got their own derby at the weekend. Spurs, then Brighton, amazingly, are up there. And Manchester United, Liverpool down. What an eighth. So how do you see, you know, it's a difficult one. It's difficult to predict with the World Cup coming up in Qatar. Stop start. But is it going to be City-Liverpool fight out again, or is this much closer? I
mean, at the start of the season, we'd have all said City-Liverpool are going to be 1 and 2, and who knows who will be the top one. But I think as time's gone on, and what are we, 7 games in now, I reckon a lot of people's top fours have changed from their predicted one at the start of the season. It all depends what happens. Getting closer to January, the World Cup in January, you look at history. Last season, Arsenal spent nothing in January. Spurs obviously brought in Kulusevski and Bentancur, so they strengthened. It's where they are in January, and I think City will struggle if Haaland gets injured. I feel, in terms of they'd have to change their game again.
Do you think, though, Darren, though, now that like Spurs and Arsenal aren't as afraid of Liverpool? You know, if Spurs are playing Liverpool whenever they're playing them, you know, especially at home, they're not going to fear them as much as maybe last season. You'd back yourself to try to get a result against Liverpool now. Yeah,
you would. I heard you talking about this earlier. The longer the season goes on, the more games you play, particularly unbeaten, or if you're winning a lot of games, your confidence changes, and you do go into games thinking we can get something out of this, no matter who it is. The Man City one is going to be difficult, and for me, if Haaland stays fit, they will win 3 or 4 games before the end of the season. They'll already be champions, but who knows what's going to happen? As you said, Al, there's the World Cup coming up. There's going to be injuries. Haaland's going to be sitting on the beach, so he's going to be fresh, which is frustrating. But there's going to be... It's a unique season, this one.
You know what I said as well, though, Al? Sorry. I said as well that they have to keep it up like they're going for the title, Spurs and Arsenal, to even make top 4.
Yeah.
If you have your mind, you know what, and we're gonna challenge the title, then disappointed, then at least you'll make top 4, because there's so many teams that are going to be fighting. Chelsea are going to get better, aren't they, on the Grand Park?
Well,
Manchester United are sorting themselves out.
Yep. I'm concerned.
Chelsea go to Palace. No, that's not an easy game. I know Palace are struggling league table position. But Chelsea going there is not easy.
Tough game.
Teams will drop points. That's a huge game for Chelsea, that one, as Brighton is for Liverpool, because if you keep dropping points at the start of the season and you see City, Arsenal, Spurs moving away from you, that's difficult to make up, you know, as the confidence builds and your lack of confidence comes into play. Palace, they've only lost 1 in 9 at home. So
I can't believe where they are.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed.
Why don't they only got 6 points?
They draw far too many games. Far too many games. They did last season. If they'd have picked up 3 more victories, I think they'd have finished in the top 8. So they draw too many. But it's a big season for Patrick, and it's a big game for Palace as well, because they need to stop looking behind them and start moving up, and Graham Potter needs to get a win on the board.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.